Watch the Game podcast. I'm your man, L.A. Cheatham.
Benjamin Banneker, what's good people? What's up? What's up?
Bad Pen. It's been a big week for Bears fans. Not exactly in the win column, but I think we are starting to answer some questions about our so-called franchise quarterback. I just call him the starting quarterback. Franchise quarterback to me means he's got to attach some successful years to the franchise and some playoff victories as well. I'm not gonna let him escape. Like Tony Romo. I think he might have one playoff victory in his career. Tony Romo, he was a franchise quarterback.
So you ain't. I'm jumping out the window. That's I got. That's I got. Justin is I got. I told y'all a few weeks ago, Justin could play this game. He just needed some help. Ryan Poles, I think he started on that path to do that by acquiring Chase Claypool last week and getting some more draft capital to go into the offseason. So I'm ready to we can call him franchise quarterback for what other people use that term to define him as. But yeah, we like to see 3 consistent years of solid production before we go there here on Watch the Game. But yeah, I'll give him. I'll let them have their day. I'm not going, nitpick you on if you say Justin Fields is our franchise quarterback.
I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, we had a chance to see Jay Cutler play for the Chicago Bears for 9 years. So I think it's fair to say that if we can have Justin Fields at the helm for about that amount of time, I'd be happy with that because I am a Justin Fields fan, but I got to be as critical with Justin as I will be with any other athlete, be it baseball, basketball, or football. I'm a 3-year guy. I always believe they give me 3 to 4 years, and that kind of shows us who you are as a professional athlete in your profession, whether or not you're a superstar, a role player, or a journeyman, if you get what I mean.
Oh, yeah. That's how we define it. We need to come out with a glossary, and we need to post that for people that watch the game this podcast. We need to have a glossary on how we define things so they can be caught up to speed.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about the direction that it seems like Justin Fields is going in with his development. If we think back maybe even 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a little long. I think it was week 2 where the Chicago media was starting to try and trip him up after the loss against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And then he had to deal with criticism, how he handled the media and the fans, how he, I guess, appreciated the fans. He had to come out after being misunderstood after the Packers game in his press conference, saying some things about him and his teammates going at it every day, and he didn't know if the fans understood, how focused they were as teammates on day in and day out getting better to play. And people just kind of took that and ran with it. Well, not so much people, but the Chicago media and as well as the national media. Now, Justin is having his day where they have to flip the script and get on his good side.
Yeah, listen, that's why when you eat crow, or revenge is the best dish served cold. Like, he's serving it up to y'all, and he's been serving it up to y'all for the last, I say month. If you want to argue that, it was a little bit longer than that, because he showed flashes and spurts. He wasn't putting whole games together. He's serving up that revenge dish, and you got to eat it. And it is what it is. It is what it is. But Bears fans are so excited for several reasons. The Packers ain't nothing. They look like they just dead in the water. And Justin Fields looks like he's emerging. And it looks like the Packers are finally about to have one of those seasons that we've had far too long here in Chicagoland area. So Bears fans are excited.
Well, I'm excited as well, but when the Bears played Miami on Sunday afternoon, there were several different vibes at Soldier Field, I think. You had the emerging Justin Fields vibe. The what is the defense going to look like without Roquan Smith vibe? And you also had the Chase Claypool vibe. It was so
Mhm.
many different vibes that was emerging all at once on the field for Bear fans. And I think we kind of knew that the defense would struggle, but it after having some time to think about it all, I'm thinking about quite a few things and quite a few people as well. Number one, I tend to think about Ryan Pace, the man that drafted Justin Fields.
Mhm.
And he's in Atlanta now. You can't help but to hear the noise. But he was the guy that drafted Justin Fields. Some say it wasn't really something he wanted to do. They wanted him to pick up. He actually wanted to pick up Russell Wilson. Remember
Right.
when they were
Right.
trying to make work that deal out, and it didn't happen. If you remember, I told you, me personally, I didn't want Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
and I think Chicago is in a situation now where they have a quarterback where they could grow with him, and he can build his legend in Chicago. Russell Wilson will always be synonymous with the Seattle Seahawks.
Mhm.
See, now the Bears have an opportunity to take a young quarterback and he can build his legend right here in the Windy City. And I often now I'm starting to think, what is going through Ryan Pace's mind? Like, man, I drafted that guy. They're going to apologize to me one day.
But you also hired Matt Nagy. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much credit he's really gonna get if Justin turns out to be what we think he's gonna be. But you know what? And you bring this up a lot, that the aura and just Justin Fields' impact on the city is a lot like when a young Michael Jordan got here. And the day that he had on Sunday versus the Dolphins, it was a record-setting day, but they lost the game. It reminds me of Michael Jordan dropping 63 in the Garden. We lost that game. We lost that game, but everybody, you could see it coming. You could see it was on the horizon. You could see it was on the way. And I think a lot of people are coming away from Justin's performance versus the Dolphins feeling that same way. We see it coming. It don't even matter that we lost the game. You can see this kid coming. And when he get here, it's about to be a problem for the NFC North, or what you call it, the Green Bay North. It's
The
going
Green Bay North. As it stands right now, it's still the Green Bay North. Until Minnesota finish the job,
it's the
it's
Green
the
Bay
Green
North.
Bay North.
Yeah, it's but I think a lot of the general fan base is feeling like this thing is trending in the right direction. And it's so funny because, like you just brought up, after week 2, it wasn't feeling like that. It was a lot of, is Justin the guy? Can he play in this league? Is he gonna get better? And then you hear nobody talking about that right now. So it's a really good vibe around the Chicago Bears right now. And this is what I was talking about. How come we can't be one of those teams that go from worst to first? It's not going to happen this year, even though I don't think we technically out of a wild card spot right now, but I think the division is so far gone, especially losing to Minnesota. If we had beat them, okay, then we got the tiebreak on them. But Detroit, they just beat Green Bay. I think that was their second win of the season. And
Yeah, that
Green
was
Bay,
his second win of the season. Yep.
so like again, it's a lot of meaningful football to be played for the Chicago Bears, but still, just because we got this guy Justin Fields, the wins and losses not really gonna matter that much this year.
And okay, we talked about now. Like I said, I brought up the fact that I'm thinking about Ryan Poles. You know, Michael Jordan. When you bring up the Michael Jordan comparison, the man that drafted Michael Jordan, I don't think he was around. Might want to look that up.
Rod Thorne.
Who drafted Michael Jordan?
Rod Thorne.
Rod Thorne drafted Michael Jordan, and I don't think he lasted a season. maybe 2 seasons with Jordan. I could be wrong.
I think it was just the first season, and then I think he moved on. I know he ended up working in the league office some kind of way, but Jerry Krause was the general manager that second year when Michael wanted to come back from the broken foot thing. Jerry Krause was the general manager at that point.
Okay, so this is what we said. We got the comparison. Okay, well, Rod Thorne drafted him, but Rod Thorne moved on his own, is what you're saying. He wasn't fired.
I don't know how he ended up leaving the Chicago Bulls. I just know he was no longer part of the organization. He was, I know he was in the league office doing something. I don't know exactly what he was doing. Maybe he's an assistant commissioner or something. But that's the guy that drafted Michael Jordan. Jerry Krause was in power by his second season.
Okay, so we got a similar situation where the man that drafted Justin Fields is not around for his second season. That being Ryan Pace. He's in Atlanta in some type of executive capacity. But you can't help but to think about the man that couldn't coach Justin Fields, which is Matt Nagy. And in my personal opinion, I think Matt Nagy got everybody fired.
He did.
I just really believe he got everybody fired. I mean, from Ryan Poles on down. I mean, Ryan Pace on down. Everybody fell because Matt Nagy, it didn't work out. He couldn't figure out how to coach the team to success after the training wheels from Vic Fangio fell off. He just kind of crashed and burned. But this is what we have now. And all I can help is to think about, of course, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. But the one guy that if Justin Fields continues to emerge, if you're going to be faced with a decision, do we let Luke Getsy get away?
Yeah, see, you ahead of the curve. You must have talked to my man Jay Hill because he said the same thing to me a couple days ago. Luke Getsy ain't gonna be here for long. Luke Getsy ain't gonna be here for long, and I guess you gotta part ways with coaches because teams coming in and poaching coaching talent at all the time. If you can get somebody to come in, hey, this is what's working. We don't want you to come in and necessarily bring your offense in. We need you to bring in what's working and build off of that. So I say Getsy will be here. Put it like this. If the offense continues to keep stacking these performances together, I think we may get 2 years out of Getsy. If that, I don't think he'll be a head coaching candidate this year. I won't go that far. I don't think he got enough experience.
And see, that's the thing that concerns me because I don't even know if it's publicized how long of a contract Matt Eberflus has. And now, okay, Luke Getsy has shown so far that he can build an offense around the skill set of Justin Fields, and we can score points. Now, this is where Matt Eberflus's expertise comes into play. He's a defensive coach. Him and Alan Williams have to figure out a way to stop teams from scoring because it's fine right now. The Bears scoring points. Okay, you stated after they played Dallas, put up 29 points, you should be able to win the game. I think we gave up 49 points, though, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we gave up 49 points. Rip Roquan Smith. We trade Roquan Smith away. Say, look, he doesn't fit the system. He didn't play well in the system. He had value. We traded him away for a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick to the Baltimore Ravens. So he didn't fit the system. Was not going to pay him. So now the pressure is on Alan Williams and Eberflus, the head coach, to show that they can evaluate talent on the defensive side of the ball and produce a winning team in their expertise as far as defensive football, stopping the other guys from scoring points.
Yeah. And it's the reason I believe they kind of get in the pass, especially, is because we've been so offensively challenged. And pretty much the whole tenure, when you think of the Bears, what you think about? Monsters of the Midway, the 85 Bears defense. Like, you don't think offense first when it comes to the Bears. And since we've been asking for it for so long, especially since the league started to evolve and you had to have a potent offense to win. You had to have a serviceable defense and a potent offense to win big in the NFL. And since the league has transitioned to that, we've been asking for that. We've been asking for that since Cal Orton was the quarterback. Cal Orton, it wasn't good enough just to win the game 13-6 or 13-10. We needed to see some more points. That's why Rex Grossman came in the game, because he could throw the deep ball better than Cal Orton. But what did that ultimately get us? So I think they're going to get a pass. I would probably say to the three-quarter mark of the season. If the defense kept playing like this, you probably start hearing rumblings around week 13, 14, right in there, like this guy's supposed to be a defensive coach, a defensive guy, what's going on? But right now, everything is getting a broad paintbrush, painted over everything, because offense. We want to see the points. We want to see if we finally got a franchise quarterback. So if the defense playing like crap and giving up what? They gave up 35 this week, 49 the week before that. What they gave up the week before that? That was versus the Patriots. They actually played decent. They gave up 16?
Yeah, they played really good against the Patriots. I think they got a couple interceptions. The two rookies got interceptions. Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker got their first career interceptions against the Patriots.
Right. So the last 2 weeks for sure have not been good. The Patriots, we can put that in the plus column. Even the second half versus the Vikings, that was a plus column. But they came out the gate and gave up 21 straight points. It was 21-0 before he got on the board. So again, I think they'll get a pass just because we've been so offensively challenged and we've been lacking offense for so long. It may not be come in the package that we thought it was going to come in, where we got a Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball 40 times a game, but seeing how Lamar Jackson has been able to take this brand of football, turn it into an MVP, and make some playoff runs, I think the general Bears fan base is going to be accepting of this brand of football.
And just staying on the defensive side of the ball, Matt Eberflus, Allen Williams, having to figure out and scheme up ways to slow teams down. I think this was a pretty big game for Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson, because those are the two guys that I think the defense is going to be dependent on going forward. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon are the young boys. They're going to get a pass. They playing pretty good. And I mean, you're starting to add new guys into the mix and match the linebacker core, and then the front, the front four, and the linebacker core. You got to get better right there. I think the defensive backfield is pretty good.
That's what I was going to ask you. When you named Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson, I was going to ask, do you consider Vildor as a part of that? Because this is third year now. I think he's I ain't gonna say a great cornerback. He's a decent piece to have in your defensive secondary. So I was going to ask you, do you think he's part of the plans going forward? Or is he somebody that you looking for to have some production on the defensive side, or do you think he can be replaced?
It's like this: the auditions for this offseason have begun. Okay, so now we're looking for the next man up situation. So I believe he's the reason why I brought this up. Okay, you brought up Vildor. So yes, he has to prove something. But Jalen Johnson, he becomes the new Roquan Smith, meaning he's going to want to get paid soon. His
Gotcha.
rookie contract will be running out.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got to figure out, is he good enough? Is he the guy, or will he be the next? Will he be the next guy that he'll be getting rid of? And see, I don't think he's played his best football since he came back from the injury. I think that Eddie, um, I'm getting a mind block here. We got
Eddie Jackson.
Jalen Johnson,
Oh, okay.
Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson needed to have a pick or cause a turnover in that game. See, he's in a situation now where Roquan was when he was asking for the money. Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson going forward has to make plays because he's going to be the next man up when you talk about getting paid, coming off his rookie deal.
Yeah.
He has to play better.
Yeah. Eddie got paid already.
But see, Eddie's got a situation too because he'll be a veteran going forward. So, I mean, he just got to prove that he can stay healthy and make plays and stay a great guy in the locker room and lead the pack. But Jalen Johnson has to make plays to get the money he's going to want when it comes down for his rookie deal to end. So I think the Miami game was big for him. The Dallas game was big for him. And right now, for the rest of the season, Jalen Johnson has to make plays. Just the bottom line. The defense got to figure something out. We're not going to sit up here and make excuses because I know we know they hurt for talent in the front seven.
Yeah.
But the talented defensive backfield has to make plays. They have to find a way to compensate for what the front seven isn't doing until that next man steps up in the front seven. So the only way I can see them doing that is by causing turnovers.
With Jalen, to your point, this is Jalen's third year. I think his rookie season probably was his best year. Last year, I don't remember him being a difference maker. And this year, like you said, he hasn't looked as good coming back over the injury. So to your point, Jalen, we need to are the 3-year rule. Are you the rookie? Or is this is who you are? Just a middle of the road type of guy. We don't need a guy. We don't need a JAG, as they say, just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be a playmaker back there.
Yeah. So who is he going forward? This is an opportunity to prove himself going forward. And I think he can only do it with turnovers because when right now Jaquan Brisker leads the team in sacks. That's not a good thing when your safety is leading you in sacks.
At all.
The front four are not getting the pressure. Okay. So those guys have to compensate with turnovers. I can't say it enough. Well, you talk about the vibe, and you're talking about another guy that's got the rest of the season to show that he was worth making the deal. And then we had another vibe come in, which was the Chase Claypool vibe. And I want to give it up to Chase because I believe the whole team responded to just adding him to the roster. Don't get me wrong. The defense, those guys expressed that they were disappointed in losing Roquan, and I can imagine that they were. But around to a man, they were saying next man up. We just got to do our job. We got to be grown men, and I think Jalen Johnson was quoted as just saying, I feel for the Roquan situation. He said, but we got a dog. I got a dog, another dog coming on the team, and I'm happy to have Claypool. So, hey, I feel the same way. We sacrificed a lot of defense for a lot of offense. That's pretty much what we did. I like the vibe that Claypool brought. I didn't expect to see him as much. He had very early in the game, he showed his ability. He got them to call a pass interference call. He called a little swing pass, juked the man, made, move the change with that move. And then later on, it was a controversial pass interference that they didn't call that was pretty much a game breaker for the Bears. Uh, I mean, for the offense anyway, because the defense. Okay, EQ did drop a ball after that. I'm not gonna let him slide on that.
Yeah, yeah,
But that pass interference call would not have. We wouldn't might not have needed EQ's drop pass at the end if they would have called the play. Would have been in field goal range, and then
the
hell,
MVP.
Justin probably could have ran it in again and had two touchdowns, or
Right.
maybe even could have threw a third touchdown past the Cole commit.
Or like I said, or the MVP from 2020, Cairo Santos, could have came on the field and tied it up. We never know.
Yeah.
But back to Chase Claypool, it was just something about the way he looked on the field. He looked like I'm the number one receiver, and his package was limited. I tried to pull up his play count, how many plays he actually got, but I know he got 6 targets. He had 2 receptions. When he caught that ball on the wide receiver screen, on smoke screen, whatever, and he just made the man miss, and he went and got the first down. He ran physically. He just looked the part of like, yo, this might be a problem, because now you got Chase Claypool coming in to be the number 1 wide receiver. And I know a lot of people wanted the Bears to select Claypool instead of Cole Kmet in that draft. So you looking like you got a serviceable one. And I know it's a very small sample size. We just talking about what we saw, our eye test from. You got a guy. And then what that's going to do is that's going to roll some coverage away from Cole Kmet. You saw Cole Kmet get 2 touchdowns. I don't think that was a coincidence that he got 2 touchdowns, because you had the threat of Claypool. You had Darnell Mooney probably more in his right spot now. Justin was going crazy. 15 carries for 178?
Yeah, 15 for 178 yards and a touchdown.
Now you got multiple weapons on the field where the defense can't just say, this guy ain't going to beat us, and if we stop him, it's over with. It's starting to get to that point where, we got to pay attention to Chase. Damn, if we give too much attention to Chase, Cole Kmet could beat us. Then we get too much attention to Cole Kmet, Mooney could beat us. We get too much attention to Mooney. Oh, wait, Justin Fields still can turn that thing up and go for 60 yards. Like, it's good problems to have, but I'm like you said, the vibe was just different with him out there. It was just different.
Yeah, the sun was splashing and Claypool was out there, just lining up. It was a buzz. I mean, just putting him on the field to line up, it was like everybody was just waiting to see what's about to happen. I think when they threw that one pass, I think they got a little predictable in that last drive though, because I think it was no doubt in my mind that when it was 3rd and long, before the pass interference play that they didn't call, I knew that they were going to just throw it up to Chase Claypool. And I think at that point in time, they just got straight up predictable. I think they probably could have took that shot a little earlier. But at that time, it was a little predictable. But very excited about the body of work and what he's going to be, the responsibility he's going to be taking on in his offense going forward. Not to mention the other guys, that'll be coming back. But I believe that Pringle will be coming back.
Right.
Velus Jones was a healthy scratch for this game. When the season started, the question marks was in the wide receiver core, the offensive line. But you go and you pick up N'Keal Harry, 6'4", 225 from the Patriots. Then you go pick up Chase Claypool, 6'4", 240, from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now it's like, who the hell do we play? Who is the healthy scratch?
Exactly.
Who is the healthy scratch? Because when you think
You ain't,
about Cole Komet,
you ain't even mentioned Dante Pettis, who's made some plays this year.
yeah, and he started to emerge against the Redskins,
Yeah,
and then made some plays against the Cowboys.
yeah.
You know, so the questions that you had in the beginning of the season with the wide receiver core, now they're totally different questions. Like, who's the healthy scratch, and for the opposing defense, who in the hell do we key in on?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Is
Claypool makes them all better. Darnell Mooney had a big touchdown catch. I think we seen Cole Komet play his best game as a Bear. He played with some toughness. He had some catches where he caught the ball and he was running guys over. The Chase Claypool impact was off and buzzing at Soldier Field.
listen, I'm loving it. I am loving it. And again, I told you my brother, shout out Cutter Pac-Man, he was real high on Chase Claypool when he was with the Steelers. And I could not understand what he saw in this guy. So after we got him, I started doing my research and I started seeing people saying, listen, Chase Claypool is a dog and he could play. He was putting up them numbers that he came to Chicago with noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger, because he had just had Tommy John and he couldn't throw the ball no more. And he had Mitch. We don't need to touch on what Mitch is. And he got Kenny Thrower Pickett. So that's what he had to work with, and he was still putting up numbers. So now you get him in the system with a guy like Justin Fields, who I think Justin is an accurate quarterback. He just hasn't had the help from his receivers yet, but that'll play out in time. I'll tell y'all I'm right about that later on. But him having a quarterback is gonna make a hell of a difference. And like we both just said, you're gonna have to key in on Chase. You key in on Chase, then he gonna bust you over the head with Cole. You take Cole away, then he can go to Mooney. Don't forget, you still got Justin back there. Don't forget, you still got the #1 rushing attack in the league. What are you gonna do? It's a great time to be a Chicago Bears fan. Listen, man, I need to give me some blue Chicago Bears Kool-Aid. I'm finna start drinking it on here. We're gonna have to change the sponsor from something brown to Chicago Bears Kool-Aid.
It's gonna be real interesting though. Talking about purchasing merchandise, we just touched on not buying jerseys. Me not buying jerseys anymore. But I believe a lot of Justin Fields jerseys were picked up, and Claypool jerseys as well, because people were saying that it was fans going to Soldier Field and they were like wearing Trubisky jerseys and taping Claypool across the back. Some people went as far as to rip the Mitch Trubisky patch off and sew on the Claypool patch. So the Justin Fields jerseys probably went up in sales, and in the weeks to come, the Claypool jerseys are going to be moving as well. I won't have one, but you can expect for those jerseys to be moving in Chicago. Claypool, and Justin Fields.
Hey, we're gonna have to get our sponsors to donate you a jersey just cause.
Hey, that's the only way I'm gonna get one, because I'm not. Hey, hell, he could be a throwback next week. With my man Ryan Post behind the switch, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Come draft day, hey, they can all be gone. And we just we'll have 100 draft picks. A whole brand new football team next year with my man. Because Ryan Poles is betting on himself. Just excited. We just got to figure out how to play some defense for the Bears. I just had to think about the fact that, man, Luke Getsy, man, if he gets this thing rolling, they're going to have some decisions to make. And the reason why I want to bring that up, because I know it might not be a lot of people tuning in with us right now, but I want to be one of the first to say that, because I couldn't help but to think about it. Luke Getsy, Uh, he's already gotten the credit for developing Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
and now he gets the chance to work with Chase Claypool and Justin Fields and get it to exploit their talents in the city of Chicago. It's gonna be hard. They're gonna have to pay him a nice chunk of change to keep him around as the offensive coordinator, or they might even have to make a call. And they may have to make a call, man, a tough call. He might be worth keeping as the head coach.
Elevating you, kind of like what was like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did a few years back when they got rid of, was it Raheem Morris, and they upped the offensive coordinator. He didn't end up working out for him, but he was a hot commodity within the organization, the league, which I forget who the guy was, but yeah, same type of deal.
Yeah. So we enjoyed that. We just took a L 35-32 to final score on that. But okay, as we wrap up, we know we always touch on college football, and I picked Notre Dame to beat Clemson, and that happened. Notre Dame just, they just manhandled Clemson in the running game.
Are we done
I
with DJU
mean,
now? Are we done with DJU? That's all I want to know.
well, I don't think he was a Heisman candidate by far. I mean, I think he's benefited from the Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson legacy that he's proceeding at Clemson, and just not the same type of quarterback. Just don't have the same type of impact on the team, and they just don't have the running game and the defense that we used to seeing Clemson have. I haven't been high on Clemson all season, but they did have a chance to crack the top four. As soon as they crack the top four, Notre Dame gets them.
They was unjustly put in the top four because we said on the show last week. I know I did. I didn't think Clemson was better than Michigan. And Michigan was number 5 when the first college football playoff ranking came out. But I understand the destiny was in Michigan's hand. Went out and then take care of itself. So I wasn't too upset about it, but just the eye test again. Clemson has not put on a better display of football than Michigan has, and for them to come out and forward, I was like, yeah. And then you saw it. Notre Dame lost 3 games this year. Notre Dame, I don't know what we will rank Notre Dame. What would we say Notre Dame is a middle tier college football team this season? And
Remember, Notre Dame started out number 5 in the country week 1. Still to this day, Notre Dame probably gave Ohio State their best game in week 1.
that's Ohio State's quote unquote best victory as their schedule has panned out so far. But Notre Dame lost to Marshall. Notre Dame lost to who else? I think they got 3 losses on the season. They lost.
They
Ohio
got 3
State,
losses, and I know they lost
Marshall.
their first home game to Marshall. I'm trying to pull it up now, but I'm not getting the best connection. I'm trying to figure out who else they lost to. But as of the last 3 weeks, Notre Dame's been playing real good football. They've cracked the top 25 again, and playing a respectable brand of football. And just nice to see with the new head coach coming
They
in
lost.
last year. Say it again.
They lost to Stanford, Marshall, and Ohio State.
Okay, yeah. So Stanford, Marshall, Ohio State, giving Ohio State their toughest competition on the season. Um, that was not a shocker to me. I expected Notre Dame. I picked Notre Dame to beat them and to beat Clemson, but um, I also picked Tennessee to beat Georgia, and that didn't happen. Georgia's playing good football. Um, the defense has stepped up, and that defensive secondary, man, they did a number on Tennessee on Saturday afternoon.
That game, it looked like the moment was too big for Tennessee. It looked like they was fraudulent number one ranking holders at that time because that game was pretty much over before it started. I know Tennessee had a chance late to kind of put some style points on the game, so maybe we look back at it and say, "Oh, that game was closer than it was." But Hendon Hooker had a terrible game. They got some weather in the second half. So I'm sure that affected the passing game. Our man Hyatt that had the 5 touchdowns versus Bama. I think he rolled his ankle early in the game, so he was kind of he finished playing the game, but he was kind of ineffective. It was just a bad look all the way around for Tennessee. For them to go, they've been like the highest scoring offense, in college football, and to come in and just get manhandled like that. It was. I know I keep bringing up Michigan, but it was like when Michigan went to the college football playoff last year. That was a step up in football, and they wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, they only managed to put up 13 points. Final score in that game was 27-13, Georgia over Tennessee. Um, when it comes to Georgia, um, the quarterback Bennett, uh, I believe that they're going to sneak away to put this guy in the Heisman race. Um, when you talk about the Heisman race, I don't think anybody's running away with this. With the lead as far as getting the Heisman. But I think there's a little bit of hype when you talk about Ohio State. When you talk about, I think they're winning more team. They're more team victories with Ohio State. This defense is playing pretty good, and I think C.J. Stroud he's playing okay. But I don't want to say he's Heisman worthy just yet. That defense is playing really good for Ohio State, and it's kind of hard for me to pick a Heisman guy because after Bryce Young and Hendon Hooker put on that show a few weeks ago when Alabama played Georgia. When Alabama played Tennessee, I haven't seen another game as exciting as that. And then this Georgia defense is just dominating. Ohio State's defense is just dominating, and I think it's time to start looking at a few of these defensive players and throwing one or two of those guys into the race. And I'm not going to go without mentioning your guy, Corum in Michigan, because if there's any guy that's putting the team on his back in the top four, it is him.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get no Aiden Hutchinson, defensive representatives making the trip to New York this year for the Heisman. All the top contenders, I think they had somewhat bad weeks. Hendon Hooker definitely he had a terrible week. C.J. Stroud, he didn't have a bad game because the wind was so crazy in Chicago and they played Northwestern. He threw the ball 26 times. He only completed, I think, 10 passes. But with the wind blowing like that, I really can't knock him. I don't think he should have been the leader for the Heisman, but I really can't knock his performance that well because of the weather made him pretty much, it put the handcuffs on him. Blake Corum, I think this is his 5th game in a row with over 120 yards. I think he leads the league. I think he leads the nation in touchdowns for a running back. I think he's at 15 or 16 right now. I know they showed a graphic of the last Heisman trophy winners that were running backs, where they were at week 9. He's ahead of Mark Ingram, his stats and yards and touchdowns. He was ahead of Derrick Henry, yards and touchdowns, and I forget who the other guy was before that. He was ahead of them all, so he's making a strong case. I know he was a little bit under the weather versus Rutgers last week. After he scored his first touchdown, he came out and threw up, but he showed some heart, still got back in there, still got his stats, still got his numbers. So we'll be the guy from TCU. What's it, Duggan?
That's another thing. TCU just jumped into the top four. I have I kind of chimed in on that game because I know they were creeping up in the rankings, but I haven't seen TCU play at all. But with them cracking the top four, I'm forced to watch them from here on out. Because like I say, we like to focus on those top four teams. A couple teams on the outside looking in. We can get to Alabama later, but I haven't seen TCU play at all. I got to focus on them this week though.
They played Texas Tech. They was the big noon game, I believe, this past weekend. So I caught some plays here and there. I know Texas Tech started out winning that game. TCU ran away with it in the fourth quarter. I forget what the final score was. I think it was like a 2-score game. But TCU, they definitely showed that they was contenders because they were losing in the game, and they showed some heart, some fortitude, came back, pulled that one out. Like you said, they ranked number 4 right now, one spot behind my Wolverines. So the top 4 is 9-0. We got Tennessee sitting at 8-1. Oregon sitting at 8-1. Oregon's only loss is to Georgia, the first game of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, Oregon's putting up some points. He's looking pretty good in the Pac-12. But we got 4 undefeated teams in this top 4. I want to backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about Michigan. I had a chance. I didn't watch this game live, but I was able to watch the replay of the game this morning. And I know we talk about Blake Corum and we talk about McCarthy, but they were struggling in the first half.
Yeah.
But I think that defense picked up. They had 3 picks in the third quarter. Michael Barrett had 2 picks. He ran one back for a touchdown. Yeah. And I think they were like 2 back-to-backs, right?
Yeah, he got his picks back-to-back. He got the first one. He almost scored. He set us up. I think we was in the fringe red after the first pick. Second one, he took it back into the house, which really kind of broke the game open. And then my man, I think Will Johnson, number 2, he got a pick. And I wanted him to score too, because at that point, I'm like, listen, offense may not have it tonight. Defense, y'all pick it up. And that's the sign of a really good football team. Complementary football. Offense may not have it all the time, or the defense may not have it all the time. Offense definitely didn't have it versus Rutgers. You could really look at that game as a trap game. And going into halftime, we down 17-14. Defense was like, all right, we got it. And they started getting some turnovers. And before we knew it, I think final score is 52-14.
Okay. Yeah, 52-17 was the final score.
Yeah.
Now, we're on a collision course. That happens every year. But I think there's going to be several things decided in this game in several weeks when Michigan go to Ohio State, when they go to Columbus and play.
I'm not overlooking that game versus Illinois. I'm not overlooking that one. We still got that on the schedule.
Okay, yeah, we did talk about that in the touch on Illinois. They dropped it. They dropped the game to Penn State. It just seemed like they just ran into a better, more prepared program because Penn State is having a down season. But you got, Michigan State. Pardon me, but Michigan State is having a down season. But I think we can agree that the Michigan State program is ahead of the curve when you talk about Illinois football. But I think Brett Bielema is going to be dealt with in years to come, as long as everything can stay squeaky clean and he can, recruit Illinois and the Midwest. Illinois is going to be a force to be reckoned with down the line. But I think they just ran into a better program in Michigan State. Down year for Michigan State, but a more prepared program, which that was Illinois' biggest game to date.
Yeah. And they kind of let it get away from them. And Michigan State was coming in off of the 8 players getting suspended for what happened in the big house in the tunnel. So they had a lot on their mind, a lot on their plate, a lot of adversity. They responded well. So you got to give them credit. You got to give Mel Tucker credit for having that team ready to play because Illinois was rolling. But I think as far as the Big Ten West goes, Illinois is really in a great position where they could be at the top of that side of the division year in and year out, competing with the likes of Minnesota,
Purdue. Purdue and Illinois were kind of like at the top of that side of the Big Ten, but Purdue lost to Iowa, I believe.
Right, 24-3.
And they didn't look good doing it. But I don't want to overlook my original thought process was when we talked about the collision course, and I'm talking about the Columbus, the battle that's going to go down. We can pretty much assume that both of these teams are going to be undefeated. But there's going to be much more on the line than just the Big Ten championship. It could be the Heisman. It could be the Big Ten championship. It can be an opportunity to go to the national championship, all wrapped up in one.
Yeah.
Because that's the last opportunity that the national media and the people that vote for the Heisman would get a chance to see C.J. Stroud and Blake Corum go head to head, and then those guys are going to have an opportunity to walk away with the Heisman. I got to think that that's the way it's going to shape up.
It's 2006 all over again. It's actually 2006, but it's more, times two. You know what I'm saying? Because 2006 they was number one and number two coming into that game. Troy Smith was a Heisman candidate. Michigan didn't have no Heisman candidate on their side. So now you just up the ante with, they both in the top four. They 2 and 3 right now. It's probably gonna stay that way unless Georgia stumbles. But 2 and 3, it's gonna decide a lot. It's gonna decide who goes to the Big Ten championship. It's gonna decide who's gonna be what rank where in the college football playoff. It might potentially knock one of them out. It might decide who gets the trophy, like you said, who gets the trophy in New York. So it's a lot riding on that line. I'm liking everything I'm seeing from Michigan. Won't say earlier this season I was feeling real good about going to Columbus. I was feeling real good about it. Now I think, okay, it's gonna be a game. It's gonna be a game. Early in the season, it wasn't nothing you could tell me that was gonna say we wasn't gonna win that game. Now I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a game. We just gotta settle in, buckle our chin straps up, and see what happens.
I think it's going to come down to who can stop the run. Um, Donovan Edwards had a hell of a game as well against Rutgers. We didn't mention him, but he was over. I think him and Corum ran for the same amount of yardage in
And
that game.
the second
Uh,
week, I think that they both went over 100 yards. Might be
so
even the third.
So I think it's going to come down to who can stop the run. You got two legitimate running backs as well for Ohio State. You got a legitimate running back duo for Michigan. I think it's pretty much going to come down to stopping the run. I think we got two defenses that's capable of doing it. So it's going to be interesting when those two teams play each other down the road a few weeks from now, a couple days after Thanksgiving. Um, so I want to try and focus on this week 11 because now we got TCU going in, and let me see who was TCU playing in week 11 college football coming up. I'm trying to find that out now. So, TCU, let's see, they're in the Big 12, right? No, yeah, they're Big 12, right?
Yep. Hold on, I can tell you. So we got coming up this week for week 11. We got TCU at Texas. That is the 7:30 game that's going to be on ABC. So that's a big game. TCU at Texas. Georgia going to Mississippi State, 7:00. Ohio State versus Indiana. That's going to be the big noon kickoff game. Michigan, Nebraska at 2:30 our time on ABC. Tennessee at Missouri at 12 on CBS. Oregon versus Washington at 7 p.m. on Fox. So that's your top 6 right there. LSU and Arkansas at 12. So,
well, man, it gets bigger each week. I think it's only been 1 week where we really didn't have a lot of big time games. But the way it's shaping out, this is a big game for TCU. This is a state rival on national television.
Prime time.
Yeah. On the road against probably the biggest. I think Texas may have the biggest following in the state. It's going to be a big game. Texas coming in. They're number 18th in the number 18 in the nation. So, woo! Hey, they sit where Notre Dame sat last week.
And what I failed to mention on Friday night, just to give us a little appetizer to kick it off, USC is number 8, and they play in Colorado. So it's a lot of good games. If you're a college football fan, a lot of good games going on this Saturday. Unlike what was that about 2-3 weeks ago, and we was like, man,
Yeah, it was a slow week, but I think it's heating up. It's heating up. It's heating up. The NFL. We got a chance to see Roquan play his first game with the Ravens. But Houston stole Roquan's spotlight, I believe, and it lead me to think that he's got a small window with the Ravens. He's got to get turnovers. He got the first turnovers and make plays, because if Houston continues to play the way he played last night, I forget the guy's first name, but his last name is Houston, the other linebacker. Man, he had I want to say he had a couple sacks, maybe a couple picks, but all I could think about was with Roquan, the pressure that was on him to produce for the Bears is now on him to produce with the Ravens. He can't just run around leading them in tackles. I think he's got to get turnovers again. He's got to get turnovers. He's got to force turnovers from his position.
hey, listen, this Roquan thing it's funny how it started. It went from contract talks at the beginning of the season to trying to get an extension to getting traded. Then his debut with the Ravens, his new team didn't go as he would have liked it to go. Man, it's no telling what his future might be. What was he offered? He was trying to get 20 mil. Was he offered 20 mil a year?
I don't know if he was offered 20 mil. I know he wanted 20
He
mil.
wanted to. Okay.
But I mean, I'm willing to bet that Roquan gonna take less money than he was offered to play for the Bears.
That's what
And
I
he's
was.
gonna look back at this like, I actually lost money in this deal.
Yep, that's exactly where I was headed. That's why I wanted to know what the number was that he was offered, because he's trending in that direction, and it could be his third team in a year.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting. But to close out the show, the Bears got the Lions coming to town. Um, the Lions can put up some points, so the defense is gonna have a challenge ahead of them. EQ St. Brown brothers playing with the Lions. I'm not familiar with his first name, but his last name is St. Brown as well. He wears number 14 for the Detroit Lions. So, we look, whatever happens, I don't give a damn. You cannot lose to Detroit Lions. You can't lose to the Detroit Lions. You cannot lose to the Detroit Lions.
Not after the 3 performances you just had offensively. You stacking them together. You got to get this win. You got to get this one.
And the Detroit Lions riding high off a victory over Green Bay.
What was the final score? Like 13-8 or something. It was something weird. 15-9 or something. It was weird.
And as I was watching the Bears game and I kept looking at that score, I'm like, is Aaron Rodgers did he get injured? Did they pull him out the game? Who played quarterback for the Packers? I'm like, damn, but Aaron Rodgers threw 3 picks in that game. And I think all of them were in the red zone.
Yep.
So let's hope that when he comes to Soldier Field, he's going to pay us what he owes us.
Yeah.
In turnovers.
We need them all.
We need them all. One thing, and then we're going to be out of here. We didn't talk about this, but the Alabama Invitational, is it off? Alabama may be on the outside looking in on the national championship hunt.
I think it's a wrap. I think it's over for Alabama this year. Last time it wasn't the Alabama Invitational, we actually played them in the bowl game and they kicked the snot out of us. But I think it's safe to say the Alabama Invitational is off this year. 2 losses. It would have to be a lot of chaos to happen for Alabama to get back into the playoff picture. So I think it's safe to say that ship has sailed, and we're gonna get some new blood outside of Georgia in the college playoff college football.
Clemson out. Clemson may be out. Alabama may be out. So the Alabama Clemson thing, I mean, we may not have to worry about that. TCU they got some high expectations to play up to going into Texas. Hey, like we always say, it's been real. It's been fun. Hey, watch the game. I'm picking the Bears. They absolutely cannot lose to Detroit.
Listen, I'm gonna play Madden first and let you know how it go on Madden. Then I get, but yeah, I'm feeling confident. Bears gonna be in the dub. It's gonna be club dub on Sunday.
I hope so, because it'd be nice to see Justin with his emerging ability to take and prove that he's the leader of this team. He has an opportunity to do that and attach the win to it. Plus, I don't want the embarrassment of losing to Detroit. Sorry, Uncle Hen, but we can't lose to Detroit.
We can't do it. It cannot happen. Not at the crib. No, it can't happen.
All right. It's been real, Pen. We get with you. Bears, Lions, big week of college football. And I'm not going to make any promises. But if you hear with us tonight, we're going to try and put together a basketball show tomorrow on Watch the Game podcast. The college teams have got going. The NBA is rolling. Watch the game.
Yo, add, like, comment, subscribe. Please share. Please share. We trying to grow this thing. We got some big things on the way. We want you to grow with us. Come along on the journey with us. You know, this is just what we've been doing. We just decided to put it on air for y'all to enjoy. It gives us a chance to have some fun, talk sports. So please like, comment, subscribe, get involved with the movement that is Watch the Game podcast, so we can watch the game with you. So Benjamin Banneker,
L.A. Cheatham, and watch the game.
Yep.